So now we are going to discuss about variables and constants. Okay, so what is a variable and what is a constant? So basically there is a very small difference. So variables and constants both are used to store a value, but there is a very small difference between them, and there is no different keyword to define a constant in Python. Okay, so the rules we have seen in the case of defining an identifier, the same rule we are going to follow here to define a variable or constant. Okay, so let's see first of all what is a variable. So variable, as the name suggests, that something which varies. Okay, so if you have a value which is going to vary over time, so we will store that value in a variable. And constant, so constant is a name which will hold a value which is not going to change throughout your program. So let's say if I'm going to take a variable, so the difference between variable and constant, how will you differentiate between variable and constant is, so variables follow the same rule as to define identifier. Okay, whereas when you will come to defining the constant, so constant also follow the same rule with one exception. And what is that exception? So the exception is, so the exception says that in this case all the letters used in defining the constant should be in the capital case. Okay, so all letters used to define a constant should be in capital case. Okay, fine. So this is how a constant is defined. Rest all rules are going to remain same. Okay, when you are going to define a constant in Python. Okay, now, so let's say if I have a variable num which is going to take a value, let's say 100. Okay, and if I have a constant, okay, which is used to store for a minimum value, constant value. So I'll be using min underscore num. Okay, now this is going to store a minimum value, let's say that is 0. Correct. So here, if you will write any variable or any identifier which is storing a value, and if all the letters in defining that identifier is in capital case, then the other programmer will consider it as a constant. And you should also follow these rules. See, all these things are the recommendations. If you're going to follow these rules, that will make you a good programmer, good Python programmer. If you're not following the rules, simply you are not a good Python programmer. Okay, so this rule says that, see, it doesn't mean that you cannot change the value here, because we are not using a specific keyword here to define the constant. Okay, like you have in C, you have a keyword to define a constant, but here you don't have any keyword. Okay, you just use these notations and these rules to define a constant. If I want to, let's say if I will print a num, this will give me 100, and if I will print max min underscore num, then this will give me 0. Okay, but if I want to change the value for variable, I know that I can change it, but for constant also, can I change this? Yes, let me check. Min underscore num is equal to, if I'm making it 10, yes, it will be changed. So if you will be printing these two values again, so it will again print these two values. Okay, fine everyone.
So the constant also can be changed.
Yeah, it can be changed, but it is not recommended to change. Okay, constant, why do you define the constant? So that, constant means the definition itself says that the value should not change over time, correct? But actually, when, like, Python is a dynamically typed programming language, right? So you don't have a type specification before compilation, right? At the runtime, the type will be checked. So here you don't have any type specification which can define that it is a constant, and you cannot change it at runtime. So you can always change it, okay? But it is not recommended to do that. Okay.
Okay.
Any other question? No? Okay. So what we have seen here, that variables and constants both are following the same rule. So whatever rules I have told while defining an identifier, those all rules will be followed here when you are going to define a variable and constant. Okay. Fine. So the next topic we are going to discuss is.
I have a question here.
Yes, please.
So can I define like a variable is equal to constant? Like, is it possible?
Yes, you can store the value stored in the constant to a variable. That's fine.
Okay. Okay. So then the value cannot be changed, is it? Like how is it?
No, how? See, the value to the variable can be changed. Value to the, that's what I'm saying. It is not that it cannot be changed. It can be changed, but you should not change when you are defining a constant. Okay. So
Okay.
first of all, you should not use this capital notation or capital case letters for defining all the identifiers. Okay. It should be used only for the, for the values which you want to be remain constant.
Okay. So it is more like a good coding practices, basically.
Yes, that's it. Correct.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. So the next one we have is, we have discussed already variables, constant, identifier, reservoirs, comments also we have discussed. Now I'm going to expression statements, okay, and blocks and indentation. So as of now, whatever we have learned, these all are the part of a statement, okay. So what is a statement? A combination of variables, constants, and values with the operator is called a statement, okay. And statement may have a variable or identifier, or it may also have a value, okay. Fine. So for example, let's say if I will say what is an expression, if I'll go by the definition, so expression may be the combination of variables, values, and constants, and also you can say operators. Okay, operators may be there, may not be there. Okay, so this is just the combination of value. For example, if I'm saying here we have num, right? So I'll be taking num plus min underscore num. Okay, so what this is going to give me? This is going to give me 200 plus 10, which is 210. So if I run this result, I'm getting 210. Fine, clear? So here what you have, combination of, this is an expression, okay. One thing you need to remember, that this is the same definition you have for the statement also, but here expression should always be evaluated. You should remember this. And returns some result. Okay, fine. It will give you some result, okay, after evaluation. For example, this expression will give you a result. Similarly, let's say if I'm just writing print num, okay, print num. So in this case, this num is also going to get evaluated, and it will give me a result, right? So this is the simplest expression I can say. Similarly, I can also write print 100. This is also a expression, 100. Writing hundreds itself, a single value itself, is also an expression. Okay, fine everyone. Is that clear? What is an expression? Okay. Now, how can we define macros? We'll be coming to that, how to differentiate the variables and constant. Is it only the cap to identify it? Yes, Sandeep. It's only the difference, as I said, it is caps. Okay, so capital letters. Okay, that's differentiate between a variable and constant. Okay, because I'll be coming to macro later. Probably I will be discussing it in the normal classes. This is not the part of this, so I'll be coming to that. Okay, fine. So what we have here, we have discussed variables, constant, then expression. The next is statement. So statement may be a combination of variables and expression. Okay, expression should always be there. Okay, some evaluation should happen. Okay, fine. Use case scenario for variables and constant. I have given it. No? This is a variable. You have constant here. Okay, let's say you are writing a program. You remember pi value in math. What is that? 3.14. That is constant. So better, when you know that pi value is going to remain constant, you make it as pi, capital Pi. Okay, and you know that r, radius, will be keep on changing. Right? So let's say radius is 10 centimeters. So now if you want to find the value of the square of this radius, okay, so you will just write pi r square. So you will first write pi into r into r. Okay, this is it. Clear? Raja, is it clear? Yeah. Okay. So statements. Now we have variables and expression here. In the case of statement, this is the combination of variable and expression both. So it may be like, for example, there are different kind of statement. One is we have assignment statement. Then we have if statement, or we say conditional statement. Okay, then we have looping statement. Okay, there are arithmetic expressions. Okay, so those all are the expressions, arithmetic operations or Boolean operations or Boolean expressions and all those things. But yes, so there are different kind of statement. These three are the important one which we see on a regular basis. Okay, so for example, let's say if I, what is an assignment statement? So a is equal to 10. This is an assignment statement where you have an expression on the right hand side and a variable on the left hand side. Okay, similarly you may have compound assignment statement. For example, a plus equal to 100. So this will, a will become 110. So this is compound assignment operation or statement where you are assigning as well as you are doing some operation, addition. Okay, next you have conditional statement. For example, if 10, and then here you may write something. This is conditional statement. And you may also have the looping statement. For example, for I, you may write Python. This is a loop statement. Okay, fine. So these all are the different types of statement. Which to have a statement we need to have some operator. Is this correct? No, it is not mandatory. Here you can see here it is here I'm writing without any operator, this one. Okay, if statement. Correct? Fine. Okay, so now these all are the different types of statements we have. So can I say that literals are the building blocks of a Python program? Literals, variables, constants are the building blocks, and then using literals, variables, constant, we make expressions and statement. And then using statements and expression, we make blocks in Python. Blocks in Python are made using expressions and statements. So what is block in Python? Block in Python basically a combination of or I can say a group of statements. A group of statements. So whatever group of statements you have that makes the blocks in Python. This block is also called suite. Okay, suite in Python. Now, so let's say whatever expression and statement you have created, if you are going to group them together, so they are going to make a block. But generally, how do you make the block in Python? So in other programming language, the syntax we have to make a group of statement is you have to take the help of curly braces. Okay, using curly braces, you make the block. But in Python, you don't have the concept of curly braces to make the group. No curly braces required to create block. Okay, no curly braces are required to create the block. Now, what do we use for that? So we use indentation and spaces for making the blocks in Python. Okay. For example, let's say now, why do we need to make the block? So there are a few cases where you will find that a particular group of code should be executed when a particular condition is satisfied. If that is not satisfied, then that block of code should not be executed, isn't it? So for that, what we will do, let's say I will create A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20. And what I want to print A is greater than B. Okay, I want to print this, and then what I need to do, I need to print A minus B, this result. Okay, if A is greater than B. If it is opposite, let's say B is greater than A, then in that case, what I want, in that case, I need to print here B is greater than A. And here I should be printing B minus A. I know one thing, that these two things will not be possible. If I'll be running this code, then what will happen? See, it is printing this way. A is greater than B. This is just a simple print statement. So by default, it will be executed, right? And A minus B, it will give you A minus B, which is minus 10. Then again, this is B is greater than A. It will print by default because it is a print statement. And then print B minus A, it is giving you 10. So why? Because Python is a sequential execution of the code, right? It is going to execute the codes sequentially. Okay, so it will start from the very first line, then it will go to the next line, then third line, then fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. There is no control you have over this program, right? So whenever you want to control the flow of the program, then you go ahead and create a group of statement, create a block of code. Okay, but for creating the block of code, for what purpose? Like how you will be creating the block based on some condition here, right? So you'll be creating one condition that if A is greater than B, then execute these two lines of code, and if it is not, then execute this other last two lines of code, correct? So in that case, you'll be creating one condition. If A is greater than B, then go ahead and execute this code. So see, writing the code without any spaces before them, that makes them in the normal flow of the program. Okay, so if you want to create, like you want these two lines to be executed when this condition is true. If that has to be done, then you have to give a spaces before them, few spaces. Okay, this is called indentation. So these codes are indented, properly indented. And since they have one level of indentation, both are at the same level of indentation. So these both lines will be executed if this condition is true. If this is false, then these two lines will not be executed. It means now these lines of code are not coming into the normal flow of the program. Okay, so this till line number 8, we have normal flow of the program. Rest all are coming under if condition. Okay, now if I will leave it like this, then what will happen? If this is true, then this will be executed, and then this will be executed. And if this is false also, then also this will not be executed, but this will be executed by default. So what can I say? I can see here that whether it is true or false, this is getting executed by default because it is again coming in the normal flow of the program. So if I'll be running this, so here A is not greater than B. So this is coming false and this is not getting executed, but this part is getting executed. And even if I'll make greater than B, then in that case also you'll see that both the lines of codes are getting executed. So again, I cannot keep these two lines of code in the normal flow of the program. I need to make one more decision. I'll be writing B greater than A. Okay. And then I will be providing the indentation here. Now, if I will run this code, so whichever is greater, so whichever condition will be satisfied, that particular block of code will be executed. So that's how we create a block in Python. Is that clear, everyone? What is the use of blocks in Python and how do we create it in Python? Any question? Yes, Mansi.
I just wanted to know that we will not use else along with if, like in other cases we use. So that's why I'm asking.
You can use if, else, elif. We are not into the conditional, part, so we are not discussing that. I'm just explaining
Okay.
blocks and indentation.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any way we don't have to write second if? Yes, there are a number of ways. We'll be coming to that. We are not discussing if, else right now, Huzaifa. Okay, fine. Yeah, Gurinder, you just select the lines of code which you want to indent, and then after selecting, press tab. Okay, fine. Okay, so now let's start with the next topic. Now escape sequences. So we have seen, yes, any question? Any question, guys? Okay, so now the escape sequence. So what all escape sequences we have? So the escape sequences we have is single backslash. This is to escape the following character. Okay, now double backslash to escape a single backslash. Means if you, let's say, if you want to print this backslash as a character, then you will put another backslash before that so that it will print at least one backslash. Okay, fine. Now we have backslash n. So this represents new line. Okay, then you have backslash t. This represents a tab space. Then you have backslash v. That represents the vertical feed. Okay, then you have backslash h, which represents horizontal fit. Okay, then you have backslash this single quotation to escape this single quotation. Okay, only single quotation. So you remember, I think in the string literal when I was discussing, so if you want to escape this single character or you want this to be included as a character, then you have to put a backslash, if you remember my last class. Okay, then to escape double quotation, we have this, and to yeah, that's it. I think these many escape sequences we have, the important ones. Okay, fine. What is the use of escape sequences to escape a single? To escape a single means, I don't understand single. What do you mean by single? Okay, single quotation if you mean, then you have this one. Okay, now if you write this one, then what exactly now? These all things should be written in the quotation, remember. Okay, for example, let's say if we have this is Python class. Okay, now if you remember, I told you that here you want this apostrophe to be printed as a character, right? You don't want this to be taken as a quotation. You want this to be printed as a character. So what you will do now, so to print this as a character, you will put a backslash here. Now putting the backslash, it will consider it as a character, and then when you will print it, you will get this apostrophe as a character. But without this, you are going to get the error. So what we can see from here, that this apostrophe, like this backslash, what it is going to do, this backslash is just, escaping the following character after backslash. Correct? Fine. So let's say if I'll put it here, so it means you want to escape s, but s doesn't mean to me anything, right? That will obviously be printed if it is kept in the quotation. Okay, so you want to escape the quotation here, so you have used this one, and then now if you print, you'll get this output. Okay, similarly, let's say if you will write in this string, if you will write \n somewhere. Okay, so \n, if you write in this string, then that will be taken as a new line character. Okay, and if you will write it without print statement, then that will be taken as a raw string. So better to print the new line. You just use the print function before this. Now if you'll see, this \n is executed, and the next part after this \n is getting printed in the next line. Okay, similarly you have \t, which stands for horizontal tab, vertical tab, and then horizontal feed, and all those things you have. You can check all these things. They are used in different cases. And this one, just to escape, let's say you have this one, you want to print like you don't want to print this \n, right? Like if I will run this, what I'm getting this after \n, whatever is there, I'm printing it in the next line, right? I don't want this to get printed in the next line. So what I'll put a / here. Now putting a / means escape the next character. So \n will be escaped, and once you'll print it, it is printing \n as a character, not executing it. Clear, everyone? Is it clear? Any question? Okay, so now next come to the data types. Okay, now what all data types we have in a Python program? So the data types we have is, there are mainly two types of data types. One is fundamental, and second one is derived. Okay, now in the case of fundamental, we have integer, we have float, then complex. These all are the numerical type. Then we have none, then we have string, and boolean. Okay, these all are the fundamental data type. They can exist alone. Okay, and what all derived data types we have? So from fundamental data types, we create the derived data types. Okay, but they are individual structure. For example, list. Then we have tuple. Okay, then we have set, frozen set, dictionary, bytes, byte array, and range. Okay, these all are the different data types we have, and it is mainly derived in two data types, fundamental, and it is divided into two data types, fundamental and derived data types. Okay, now out of these data types, few these data types also divided based on the mutability property. Okay, data types are also divided based on mutability property. Okay, now what is mutability? So a data type is said to be mutable if you can modify it. Okay, or if item assignment is possible. Right? Now, what is immutable data type? So data type is said to be immutable if you cannot modify it, or if item assignment is not possible. Fine. Clear, everyone? So let's see that. Now, what is mutable and immutable? So first, before that, let's see what all immutable data type we have and what all mutable data type we have. Okay. So the immutable data types, we have all the fundamental data types are immutable. First thing. Second thing, in the derived data type, we have tuple, then we have frozen set, then we have bytes, and then we have range. Okay, They all are immutable. And mutable, what all mutable data types we have? So list, then set, dictionary, and then byte array. Okay, these all are mutable data type. Fine, clear everyone? Next, so let's see what do you mean by mutable and immutable. First of all, integer, float, and complex, they are just a number. Okay, item assignment is not possible in that case. For example, a is equal to 100. If you're writing a is equal to 101 or this one, so you are creating a new object and you are assigning that object to the same variable, to the existing variable. You are not doing here item assignment, or you are not changing this. Actually, if you are writing 101 from 100, so the changes will not be made into the same data. For example, when I'm saying same data, what exactly does it mean? First, let's understand this with the help of mutable data type. I have a list, okay? LST is equal to, let's say, I have 10, 20, 30. Okay. Now, inside this list, let's say if I will append some, I will do append operation. Append is used to add the element at the end in the list, okay? Append method is used to add an element in the list at the end. Okay, fine. So let's say if I want to add here 111. Now, if I will check list after appending this after doing this operation, if I'll check the list, so you'll find that list is updated. Okay, when I'm printing list, I'm getting 111 at the end. Clear? But let me do one thing. Let me check the ID of the list before this operation. What is ID? Let me check. Now, after this operation, what is ID? So before this operation, the ID was 77672, and after the operation, the ID is same 77672. Clear? So I can say that here that this change which you have made in the list, it is changing in the same existing list or same object, right? It is not creating a new object, isn't it? Clear, everyone? Is that clear? Is it clear, guys? Any question? Yes, Praful?
Yeah, the number 445, how we got that?
This is using ID function. ID is a function which returns the memory address of the object which you are going to pass here. ID function always takes a single argument, okay? Now, if you want to check the definition of any function, don't memorize anything first of all, okay? Whatever you want to do, you just go ahead and check the documentation. How you can check the documentation? Write the function, write the pair of bracket, go inside the bracket and press Shift Tab. Now, if you press the Shift Tab, it will give you the signature along with the definition. Now, if you click on this plus button, you will see the types and data types and the return type, everything. Is that clear?
So, Abhishek, just a question. So, this ID is equal to the IDs that we were discussing yesterday, the memory ID?
Yesterday, I don't think yesterday class was there.
Oh, sorry, the day before yesterday. Sorry about that.
Day before yesterday.
The memory, there are.
Yes, correct. We were using in Thorny Editor.
Sorry?
We were using in Thorny Editor and it was showing one ID, right? You are referring to that?
So there were different blocks and
Right.
high.
Same ID.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So this is basically what we discussed in that first class, I think, or in the second class, that every object gets stored in the heap area, right? So this list is also an object, okay? And this list object is getting stored in the heap area, and one ID is allocated to that list object, okay? So that ID is this ID for that list object. Now, when you are making the changes to that list, it is the changes you are making into the same list object. So after the operation, this ID is not changed for that list object. Clear? Right?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Now, let's say if one more thing, like how you can identify that whether object is mutable or not mutable. So the main operation you need to check here is, see here you have to check the ID and you have to confirm whether the IDs are changing or not after making the operation. Okay, so what you need to do here, we will just do the assignment operation. Okay, assignment operation. If assignment operation is possible, then we can say that object is mutable. Fine. For example, let's say we have this list. Let me print the list here now again. So this is the list 10, 20, 30, 111. Now let me do the assignment operation. Assignment operation means I'm going to allocate a different value to the existing location. For example, LST of 0. What it is going to give me? It is going to give me 10. Okay, means I'm referring to this LST of 0. I'm referring to this value. Now what I will do? I will do one item assignment here equal to, I will write 110. Fine. Now when I will print LST here, so what will happen? Now if you will print this, so you will get that this is changed, isn't it? Correct. Now LST is changed. So if you are able to do this assignment operation on the existing list object, so we can say that it is mutable data type. Fine. Now this is the same operation you cannot do on the immutable data type. For example, let's say if I'll be taking A is equal to 100. Now let's check the ID of A. ID of A. Correct. Now, so ID of A I'm getting as 360, and in this A, what is the value? 100. Now, let's see. Here I'm again printing the ID of A. Now, if you print the ID of A, the ID of A is changed. So, if you are using any numbers, okay, and if you are changing that number, and after changing, you are allocating that to the existing variable, then in that case, ID will be changed completely. Why? Because creating or allocating a different number is just creating a new object, isn't it? Okay. Fine, everyone. Fine. So you cannot do like a number in the number, it is not a sequence. So item assignment is always possible in the case of sequence only. Okay. Or in the case of mapping. Okay. Fine. Now, next, let's see immutable data type, which is a sequence type. For example, tuple. I'll be taking a tuple. So let's say this is a tuple is equal to 10, 20, 30. Now let me print tuple. This is tuple. And let me print the ID also of the tuple. This is the ID 04160. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the value. I'm trying to assign the value at 0th index. So first of all, let's check what is tuple of 0. It is 10, right? So I'm going to allocate 120 in the case of tuple of 0. And if you will do this operation, it is going to give you the error that tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay, fine. So whatever sequences you have or whatever mapping you have where you okay, I'll come to that, Viraj. I'll come to that. Okay, so let's first come here. So tuple, see, tuple and list are similar. Just the difference here is tuple is immutable, list is mutable. Clear? Rest all things are same. The other discussion on list and tuple, we have a dedicated class for that, so we'll be discussing it there. Okay. Yes, you can see the structure wise. Structure wise, if you see here, we are using small brackets. Here we are using capital brackets. Okay. Fine. Okay. So this is about mutability property, and we have seen that how a data set or a data can be decided whether it is mutable or immutable. Yes, Sayanti, please go ahead.
Yes, what does it mean? Tuple of 0 is 110. I didn't get
Tuple
that.
of 0 is equal to 110. Basically, see, as I said, if you are going to write tuple of 0, tuple is a sequence. Okay, sequence means these all elements are indexed. They are having a specific index. So this first value is at 0 index, 20 is at 1 index, 30 is at 2 index. So when you are writing tuple of 0, you are accessing 10. Now at tuple of 0, you are trying to assign a different value, 110, which is not possible in the case of tuple. But in the case of list, it was working.
Okay. And how do we know those indexes? Like 0, whatever you said.
Indexing
like
always starts from 0. Okay, from the left
and
hand side.
so it's like 0, 1, 2,
Yes.
like that?
Yes,
Okay.
that is called a zero-based indexing.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
fine. So I hope this is done. Next, we have again the data structures in Python can be divided based on object reusability. Okay, now object usability. So there are two types of data structures. One is the data structures which uses the object usability concept, and the other data structure which does not uses object usability concept. Okay, so the data types which uses the object reusability concept are, first of all, integer. Okay, then you have, so I can say fundamental data type. Okay, fundamental data types, these all are going to follow the object usability concept. And apart from this, just a second. Yes, so int, float, complex, none, string, and boolean, they all follow the object usability concept. And here byte, yes, so they won't follow now. So correct, so derived data types won't follow the object usability concept. Do not follow the object reusability concept. Okay, this is one thing. But the objects are objects at element level, fundamental objects. Fundamental objects at element level follows the object reusability concept. Okay, they follow the object reusability concept. What do I mean by this? So first of all, what is object reusability concept? So object reusability concept is to reuse the objects if they are already existing in the memory. Okay, if they are already existing in the memory. For example, let's say we have a string s is equal to Python. Okay, let me start with a number. First, num is equal to 10. Fine. Now let's say if I'll be writing print num comma id of num. Okay, and if I'm going to write num2 is equal to 10 again. So can anyone tell me whether the id of num and num2 will remain same or different?
Same. It should be same.
If you will run this, you will find that id of num and num2 are similar, because as I said, fundamental data types follows the object usability concept. Okay, and integer comes under the fundamental data types, so it will follow the object usability concept. But let's say if I will be writing num3 is equal to num plus 1. So now tell me, num3 is going to be 11. So 11 is a new object, isn't it? So id will be similar, or it will be making the changes into the same existing id where the 10 was existing. Yes, please.
It will change.
It will change, different, right? So see, in the case of those objects which follow the object usability concept, what happens if you are doing any operation, they all will create a new object. Okay, they will not make changes into the existing object. For example, whatever data type you can take, string, list, tuple, string or none, or integer, float, complex, they all follow the object usability concept. So when they are following the object usability concept, so if you are going to make any changes to them, they will create a new object after making the changes into the existing object. Okay. For example, let's say if I'll print here num3, if I'll print num3, comma ID of num3, so this is going to be changed from the previous one. So it has added, it has taken 10 here plus 1, so object became 11, and now 11 is getting created at the different ID, which is 36512. Clear, everyone? Fine. So this is the case of numbers. Now let's say in the case of sequence. So in the case of sequence, first of all, can anyone tell me whether can I do the item assignment here? S of 0, can I do J here? No, because string is an immutable data type. Okay, and you cannot do the item assignment in the case of immutable data type. First of all, item assignment is not possible. But let's say if I'm taking another string, S1 is equal to again Python. So in this case, ID will be similar or different?
Similar.
Let me run this. Now, if you will run this, so here you are getting IDs are similar. Okay, for both the cases. Fine. So this is because of the object usability concept.
So,
Okay.
Abhishek, one question here.
Yes.
When you assign a string to a variable, right? When you give print s an ID of s, the variable value also getting printed and the ID also getting printed. Whereas it is not in the case
Yes.
of integer assignment. It just,
Integer assignment.
for example, the top right, number equal to 10, but still I don't see 10 in the output. I just see only the IDs.
No, here it is printing 10 and then this is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ID.
Sorry.
Okay, fine. So this is going to remain same. Now let's see, there is a limitation. I discussed about a number, right? Let me come to this. Let's say if I have a number num2 or let's say num4 is equal to, I'm taking 1000 and num5 is equal to 1000. So let's say if I will check num4 comma ID of num4. Similarly, if I'll take num5 and num5, ID will remain same or different for num4 and num5. Num4 and num5, it will remain same or different.
Same.
So let me check here. If I will write this, so in this case it is different. Okay. Why? Because this is a limitation in Python. Okay. Object usability concept comes with a limitation. What limitation? It says that object usability concept will be followed for a specified range. Okay. For example, for int, it is only between -5 to 256. Okay. Only in this range, if you'll take any number, then that numbers will be following the object usability concept. Okay. Here there was the error, except float and complex. Okay. So object usability concept is not there for float and complex in the case of fundamental data type. String A to Z small, capital A to capital Z, and 0 to 9. Okay, they all follow object usability concept. Then you have Boolean data structure like true and false. Okay, they follow the object usability concept, and none. Okay, so all these follows the object usability concept. Fine. Integer -5 to 256, string, Boolean, and none. They all are going to follow the object usability concept.
So if we have special characters in our strings, then they will not follow this object
No.
reusability. Okay.
No. For example, let's say if you are going to have here, let me comment this. Python, let's say @ and here also you have @ okay. Now if you will run this, you will see that IDs are different.
Okay.
Okay, hi everyone, any question? Yes, Praful.
Once can you scroll up?
Yeah.
Yeah, here it's.
Hmm.
In this ninth one, we have given ID of A, right? Ninth line.
Yes.
In that we are able to get a different ID number, right?
Hmm.
Is it correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but in strings we are getting the same.
Yes.
That's what. No, that's why.
No, a string you have the same object, no? So in the case of same object, this is going to follow the object usability concept. Here you are saying, here see, here this is 100 and 101. They
Okay,
all
okay,
are
okay,
two
okay. Got it. Yeah. Sorry.
Fine. Any other question?
Yeah, fine.
Any other question, guys? So we have seen in the case of fundamental data types, they are going to follow the object usability concept, except float and complex. Doesn't matter how small, how big value you're gonna take. In the case of fundamental data type, they will not follow the object usability concept. Fine. Similarly, derived data types also doesn't follow the object usability concept. It means, so the objects will not be reused again. Okay. So here we are reusing the objects, right? This is for memory optimization. Similarly, let's say if you will come to a list, let's say if I have a list, lst is equal to 10, 20, 30, and lst2 is equal to, again, we have 10, 20, and 30, right? So let me know ID of lst and ID of lst2 will be similar or different. It will be different. Okay, fine. Why? Because they are coming under derived data types and they don't follow the object usability concept. Now, tell me whether the ID of LST of 0 and LST2 of 0 will remain same or different? Everyone? Is it going to same or different?
Same.
So let's see. It is going to be same. Why? I said in the beginning that in the case of derived data type, the fundamental object at element level follow the object usability concept. So 10 is the fundamental data type at element level. So it is going to follow the same object usability concept. Okay. But let's say if I have 1,000 here. Okay. So in this case, this ID will remain same or different. Again, it will be different because derived data types. In this case, it will be same or different. Different. Why? Again, because of the same concept of
Range.
object usability.
Yeah.
Okay, range. Clear, everyone? Any question? Any question, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, in the list, like when we are storing this data like 10, 20, 30, 40, and in the another list, we are storing something like a list 2. Okay, so we have different IDs. So it will be like sequentially, like if some ID is there, like 60 is there, okay, and the next ID maybe it is at 62. It will be sequentially or it will be different?
It will be random.
It will be random.
Yes, heap is just
Okay,
a
okay.
collection of garbage, so it will take the random ID. It will never take the sequential ID.
Okay, okay, thanks. Okay.
If indexing starts from 0, then what is that -1? See, indexing starts from 0 from the left hand side, and from right hand side it starts from -1. Okay, for the sequences. So Python follows both negative indexing and positive indexing. Positive indexing starts from 0 from right hand side, and negative indexing starts from -1 from left. Positive indexing starts from left hand side from 0, and negative indexing starts from right hand side from -1. Clear? So let me write it here. Positive indexing starts from 0 from left hand side, whereas if you will talk about negative indexing starts from -1 from right hand side. Okay, fine. For example, let's say if you have a list LST is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So tell me, what is the index of 1? Positive index. Can I say LST of 0 will give me 1, right? So if I want to access 1 using negative index, then what should I write? LST of
-1.
-1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, right? So I should write -6. Now this will give me 1 again. Correct? Now let's say if I want to access the last element, then what should I write? LST of -1, isn't it? -1 will always be the last element, right? So this is going to give me 6. Clear? Or can I also say print LST of minus of length of LST, and here I will write -1. Correct? Sorry, +1. Right? Clear? So minus of length of LST is what? Total 6 element. Since it is starting from 0, so this will be 1 less than the total length, right? Because length always starts from what? Counting always starts from 1, right? So when I will ask you to give me the length of this list, so what you will give? Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Total 6 elements are there. But what is the positive index of this 6? 6 minus 1, 5, isn't it? Because it is starting from 0. Clear? Fine, everyone? So this should be in the bracket and this should be -1. The last element, right? So it should be like this. Okay, 6. Fine. Clear, everyone? Any question? Any question, guys? Okay. Okay.